Yeah, Misfits Academy didn't get side selection this time. Schalke decided they wanted to go on the red side, which has been the winning side every game thus far. And now we see the respect ban coming out early from Schalke. Get rid of that Rengar. Misfits Academy sticking with the Elise and the Ivern.
And right now, Schalke should not be picking a lot of late game. I can excuse the likes of blind picking an Orianna or blind picking an Ezreal, but you will have a counter matchup in one of your lanes.
Yeah.
Which means you should be winning at least one lane, heavily.
Well, if they fall back on what Vander was talking about, you look for top, get Smitty J something that will beat Jisoo in lane. Not something that goes even, not something that gets pushed in but scales well later game. Well, get him a winning matchup.
They have to be careful on that because if you, for instance, like blind pick a Renekton, Nah gets played.
But
right?
you counter pick. You've got the final pick, haven't you?
Exactly, and that's the top lane is a difficult one to do that because if you ban a lot of the carries, you just play a tank matchup, and then it's difficult to actually have a winning match. And we've seen a couple of tanks be banned out here.
Shen has been taken away. Jace as well, once again banned out by Misfits Academy, so I didn't want to first pick that. Now they do have a lot of options here for their first pick.
I wouldn't be surprised if you saw first pick Kha'Zix or something like that coming through from Misfits, or at least high priority. Again, it has worked so well for them.
Yeah, getting the Tahm Kench for Dreams once again. Worked out well for them in game one. A couple of times he misplayed, but still a very strong pick.
Tahm Kench is a good pick for punishing greedy opponents because you end up behind them all of a sudden, and if they're out of position, they have to take a very difficult fight. Yeah. So that's what worked in game one for Misfits Academy. We'll see whether it works in game three.
It's the rotational macro play as well, the ability to get from lane to lane so quickly. We saw Schalke getting caught out by that. Once again, looking towards the Lee Sin here for Lulex. There's still Kha'Zix on the cards for Pridestalker, and he played that well last game.
And Lulex had a decent game on the Lee Sin overall. I mean, mechanically, he always is going to look good. It's one of his comfort picks that we've seen for years. So I like that it starts an early game focus here, but let's at least continue it. Pick a scaling component. AD on mid lane. I don't care. You decide, Schalke. But the rest of the map, do not pick slow scalers. Okay, this is what we need. Yeah. Good. Put it in Vander's hands at the same time. And for Schalke, I think this already indicates a much faster game. But Misfits Academy have shown they're good in the early game.
Exactly, and that's the thing we wouldn't have expected before today. You know, Misfits Academy had always been the later game team that prides themselves on winning team fights. Their skirmish play has been phenomenal today. And even with that Malzahar pickup, I'm worried that Misfits Academy can draft a composition that just plays well into the Mouse early on. It's going to be the Graves and the Ashe.
That is true. I'm looking at this one. I want to see what they rounded out with. If they don't go AD carry here, something like a Caitlyn. We've seen a bunch of Ezreal. No Jhin in this series, but would work. Ooh, that would be good for
you
top
want
lane.
Carries.
That would be good.
Carries. There's a carry for you. It's Camille, the deadly shadow up in the top lane.
But now we get to see the response. Out of Misfits Academy. Renekton's still up, so Schalke are likely to ban it. It's one of the matchups that does well into Camille. And I think while this is better out of Schalke, like I have lost so much confidence in the execution that I still am kind of thinking that Misfits Academy should be the favored team now in game 3 with a 2-0 position to be in. Like, I think without something catastrophically going wrong, you must look at them as a favored team.
I think if you are a bookie and you're doing odds on this game, you change from probably, you know, 10 to 1 for Misfits Academy to win the best of 3, and now you're going at 1 and 2. You know, it's in favor of them. They are so far and away better than Schalke today. Gragas ban from Schalke 04, taking away Jisoo's top lane carry, and then the Syndra ban as well.
This is smart, because you're leaving them with the likely an Ezreal, and then a scaling mid laner. Then Akali comes through. We know Cosq's an Akali player, but I would have to check this. I don't believe Cosq has played Akali in a professional LCS or Challenger, you know, LoL Esports professional game.
I don't think he has either.
I don't think he has.
But obviously Schalke think that he is a threat on that Akali, or perhaps it is even a top lane Akali ban, and something that Jisoo's been practicing. I didn't find it in my research. It's always a possibility though. Now, we get to the second rotation.
There's a scaling.
Straight away for Schalke, it's the scaling you wanted.
Works with the Malzahar though. Very good at pushing, very good at locking one person down. You get the kill. However, we got a Tahm Kench. Everything now goes against the Tahm Kench on Dreams. They have to utilize it all. And we're going back to game 1. This is so similar to game 1. Just the Rengar is different so far.
Comfort for Cosq, and it's a Poppy top. Poppy actually works really well into Camille because of the steadfast presence. When she's trying to jump in and out onto you, you pop that down and you stop her being able to engage.
Yeah, it's certainly a champion we haven't seen too much recently. The Renekton would have given them, I think, a good early game basis to build from for Misfits. And there's the Taliyah. Okay, this is a very different draft out of Schalke, a lot closer to what we saw out of them in the regular split. And I think finally Schalke have dropped this late game focus for the better, I would have to imagine, but it doesn't mean that one mistake in this game isn't going to throw it completely out of the window.
We've seen Jisoo play Poppy actually this split, and I think it was into a Camille. He played incredibly well on it, managing to catch the Camille underneath the turret a couple of times. And it's an interesting draft all around because, as you say, Schalke have moved away from this late game. They still have a bit of scaling. You know, Taliyah's still strong late. Camille, incredibly powerful in that split push later on. But Misfits Academy have just gone for their tried and true. You know, they've got the Ashtarm Kent combination they played in the first game. They've got the Graves, the Pride Stalker, something he had incredible impact on earlier on in the split. In fact, his first game, I believe, with Misfits Academy was on that Graves. He didn't die and he got 9 kills in it. So if he can once again show how powerful he is, it's going to be an interesting match to watch.
It absolutely will be, but this is a situation I don't think anyone really expected, apart from maybe Misfits Academy. We are into a difficult moment on this one for Schalke 04. Misfits Academy in a great spot, 2-0 up. Can they close it out and be the second team into the promotion tournament alongside Origin?
That's the big question, Stress. And you have to remember a lot of these Misfits Academy team players are not that experienced at this big level. They're not experienced on the stage. And right now, those nerves might be playing havoc with their ability to win this third game. Schalke 04, though, they'll have been used to being in this position. A lot of LCS veterans there. And we are about to get on to the Summoner's Rift. Make sure you tweet us hashtag EUCS with your winner, hashtag MFA win if you think they'll lock their spot in the promotion tournament, and hashtag S04 win if you think Schalke will be able to get back into this series.
What a moment.
What a snail.
What? This right here, this is why you never call it done until it's over, right? People for Schalke were tweeting, we just got to make our way to the promotion tournament.
Reddit threads were full of Origin, watch out for the Schalke tank.
Yeah,
Origin, watch out for the Schalke tank.
I mean, it was even on a little show.
It was.
Called the EUCS.
Should we do that? Should we?
I don't think we got the Jaws
quick
music.
You can be Vedius.
I don't think we need to do that right now. But I mean, everybody was saying, Origin, watch out. I mean, Schalke even put out that like remade Star Wars GIF, which was great. But I mean, they clearly probably should have spent less time making GIFs and more time making drafts coming into this one, because Misfits Academy 2-0 up right now. Schalke absolutely need to come out of the gate swinging in this game.
That they do, but I think we can't put anything by Misfits Academy here. They have played incredibly well, exceptionally at points against this Schalke lineup, and it hasn't been that Schalke have played the worst League of Legends they've ever played. At times they've made good decisions, they've made cross-map plays. Misfits have just been a couple of steps ahead at every single point. A lot of it comes down to Pride Stalker as well, who has read Lulex like a book.
Jisoo's been playing well, Yuki's been playing better than we've seen from him in quite a long time. He is a veteran of the Challenger scene, so I think at this point, when you look at it from a competition standpoint, the way Misfits have played today is the style of team that I want to see in the promotion tournament. One that is active, is playing aggressive, and is actually like working for a lot of the plays they're making. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Game 3 holds for us. This is a very different style out of Schalke. And when Selfie's been playing Taliyah, it's looked very good. But early
straight away, he's going to get the red buff slow as well and has to flash both summoners down on Selfie straight away.
That's exactly what Misfits Academy need to do to try and stop this Taliyah. Selfie's actually recalling out because he needs his health back. He knows that he is going to be on the losing end of any trades in this lane now. And if Pride Stalker were to come around again, would mean certain death. So Selfie's gone back, picks up a control ward for himself, and the pressure's already on.
Pretty sure Unlimited watched PGL last night, because what I said is how you defeat Schalke 04 is you camp Selfie in the mid lane, and that's exactly what they've done in the last couple of games. Already half the CS of his opposing laner. It's only 11-5, but it's a massive differential early on.
I'm glad Unlimited watches PGL, seemingly. If you want to watch PGL, anybody after this series, you can find it on the YouTube Blood Esports. Yeah. Everything's over there. Or if you watch it live during the show, that's great as well. It's after the end of every LCS day. we end up talking a little bit more about the league. And I have to imagine this week we're going to end up talking about this series regardless of how it goes, because right now, history in the making as Misfits Academy turn around an entire split. Let's see if they can close it out.
Yeah, they still haven't finished it yet.
Yeah,
Schalke
exactly.
have shown us how long they can go without losing, and they'll be trying to revitalize that spree with this game. They just need 3 in a row. They did 10 before. It's not too far of a stretch. PrideStalker getting a little bit of vision once again, but he is looking for Selfie. Could go up towards top because Smithy J is pushed forward. Decides against it just in the back.
Look at the difference now. Schalke with Vander on this Malzahar. I think it's a good setup, utilizing some of his experience, his wisdom, and already focusing heavily on vision control behind the Dragon Pit. They've obviously swapped sides now to the red side of the Rift, so a little bit of different geography and topography down on that bottom side. You get different scenery that you can spot out with those wards.
New snails to find.
Yeah.
I think the thing is as well, we have to remember Schalke picked blue side game 1. It wasn't like they've been forced onto red both sides. Schalke got the choice first, Misfits second, and now Schalke once again. Lulex invading for some of these Razor Beaks.
And as he will probably take about half of PrideStalker's health, but isn't going to go for a dive. I think that's fair though. Most teams will start out on blue side and go, okay, well, we'll get the high priority pick as our first pick, and everything from there should fall in line. And you'd be excused for saying that, but it seems like Misfits Academy have just had very strong first rotations. The first game was Tomken Shvarenga. Second game was that Karma Kha'Zix, both of which looked very, very strong.
And Yuki's really stepped up for his team as well. He's had this Ashe 3 games in a row. He's been landing those arrows pretty effectively throughout the entire time. And it's something you have to do as an AD carry, is be able to provide that utility to the team at the moment. Yeah,
and to talk a little bit about Yuki as a player, this guy disappeared for a while. He was on the old G2 lineup when they were Gamers 2 in Challenger Series, still struggling to qualify out. It was Yuki and Kasing. And for a while there, Yuki's also played with Dude, other players like that, and we didn't see him for about a year. And suddenly he comes back looking great. Ooh, top lane. You expect
Jisoo to get forced out, especially since he hasn't backed. Smithy J backed, got his Sheen, used his TP. And now, because Jisoo's being able to push up the light wave, he'll go back. But actually, during that year, I had a bit of experience with Yuki. He went over to the UK scene and played for Renegades Banditos, who won the ESL UK National League. And now, actually, we saw him, that team became the Misfits.
They did.
So he was actually the sub for Misfits last split in the Challenger Series, and now is playing for them once again.
Yeah, so it's been a while since we've seen Yuki in this position, but I mean, you've got to give him credit. Compared to his counterpart on the Rift, like Upset. Upset's been caught a lot. And now Upset is a player that a lot of people have talked about, you know, originally, I believe was penciled in for the Giants lineup and played over at IEM, if I'm not mistaken, with that lineup. Now Cosq on a roam up topside. We'll talk about Upset later as this series goes on.
Smithy J does have flash, but the miasma will come down. There's the Petrifying Gaze as well. Smithy J tries to put the ultimatum out, but PrideStalker is there in time and will get first blood. Misfits take him down.
So much put topside on this exchange out of Misfits. They had to make it work, but Smithy J ends up on the losing side of that exchange. Now Lulex trying to get something done bot side. Hawkshot did just spot him out. That is going to be a key factor now because Misfits Academy can play around this gank. Lulex pretty much gets denied here. Everything has to go on Dreams. Vanda's not level 6 yet, neither is Upset. You can see that Schalke are taking a long time over this, and PrideStalker is already coming down into the lane. There's no play here anymore. Schalke have to back away.
Because the level 6 wasn't there as well, and Vander wasn't actually in the lane, he was coming back from base, it meant they weren't able to do anything with it. And I just want to come back to that top lane gank, because a lot of it comes down to how far Selfie was pushed out early on. He was back in base when that play happened.
He was back in base, hasn't been able to roam out. In a Cassiopeia, beating a Talia around the map on the roam is pretty much unexpected at that point, but without that flash early on, Selfie sacrificed a lot in the laning phase. Now Schalke want to fight over this red.
Schalke again, playing no around 6. Vision. Yeah, PrideStalker doesn't have 6. Lulex does though, looking for the kick.
Flash.
Will kick him away. Here comes Selfie with the Weaver's Wall, and PrideStalker caught out by Schalke. Great play around Vision there by Schalke 05.
This is better. They get the Vision down. Now they come across with the Talia. It was nice flash immediately from PrideStalker, denied the flash kick attempt from Lulex. ultimately ends up dying because Talia comes in with the Weaver's Wall, and this is what Schalke needed to do. It's earlier focus. Okay, they're not getting the tower from it, but they've been able to get a gold lead early on in response to the initial play that Misfits made. Nice block into the wall.
This is what you can do on the Poppy. You can actually shut the Camille down quite hard when you start to get some tankiness under your belt, especially with those Ninja Tabis. But coming back to jungle, we talked about it at the start of the day. Lulex, on average, around the 15-minute mark, is an entire level of experience ahead of his enemy laner. Here he is 2 levels, and we're only 8.5 minutes in.
This is what we saw from Schalke in nearly 10 games of the regular split. And 3 games into a series, they've decided to show up a little bit. And Schalke, you can see, looking for the play. Now they turn on Pridestalker because Dreams, if he moves forward towards Pridestalker to save him, it's Dreams that'll end up dying there. The Voidlings were replicating already. There was a lot of damage going down. It probably would have been a double kill rather than just the one. So Dreams pieces out, looks for the exit on that. And Schalke continue this bot lane push.
First time we've seen Schalke take a lead at the 10-minute mark, or there and thereabouts. Usually it's been Misfits, mostly off farm as well, but Schalke, drafting this more aggressive early style, have played into it, getting vision down into that bedside jungle and catching Pridestalker out.
I was passing Schalke in the hallway in between games after game 2, and with first tower going down in favor of Schalke, this will reinforce what I overheard Selfie saying, where he was like, I'm not worried yet. Like, that's a good sign that Selfie is not worried, but Misfits Academy...
Keep his verdict! That's the way to get out of the octagon, isn't it? Jisoo knocks them away and gets himself to safety.
Misfits Academy likely had a very different conversation where it's just like, oh, we've basically already won. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. So, glad to see that the mental side of the game was still okay for Schalke. That time did not connect with the tower. Oh, Smitty J.
Arrow a long way away, and Smitty J stunned for a long time. Pridestalker takes him out. 2 kills for the Graves.
Good job trying to hamstring this top side of the map, and Yuki and Dreams are already up here top side. Didn't even use the Abyssal Voyage to get there, so they're going to try and push onto this tower with the Graves as well.
This is what Graves can do that we didn't see Lulex do with it in game 1.
But the problem is Upset and Vander are already here in response, and after Misfits have used so much, they have to back away. They don't get the tower effectively, so Schalke maintaining the tower lead, maintaining the gold lead for now. Glad to see that they're firing back here.
Looks like Selfie just going to set up down towards this bottom side. They'll get red side vision once again.
Jisoo, I think. Well, at least they have the option to here. Smitty J is not in lane, so it means they don't want to commit to it. You can see a lot of fall back pings from Misfits Academy onto Jisoo bot lane. As Kozky's roaming top, spotted out on a ward, so no play should be made on either side right now.
We'll just have another look at this top lane play, because Yuki gets the arrow, it connects from a long way away. And the wall jump, it wouldn't have gone through anyway,
no,
with the stun coming out. So Pridestalker was in the right position. I thought the arrow might have been a little bit too far, but with Pridestalker flanking, it's a pretty easy kill for me.
It was good. It was a good setup. And Schalke, though, will take the dragon for themselves. Lulex with that Lee Sin, able to take it quickly. And this game has turned right around. Pridestalker is heavily down against Lulex, who on this Lee Sin has finally started showing up. Pridestalker now caught out. And Selfie's here.
There.
Just takes him out.
Just destructive power of the Talia. Not quite sure why Pridestalker's in that position, really too far into the enemy jungle, considering that you know the 2 members. The bot lane is up on that top side of the map for Schalke 04.
If you're just tuning in because you heard Schalke are 2 games down, this is not the Schalke that have been playing in the last 2 games. This was Schalke from the regular split, and this has looked a lot closer to what we were anticipating. But nevertheless, you can't take anything away from Misfits yet. They still have a 2-game lead. They still are only 1 game away from the promotion tournament. And they still are trying to fight.
It feels like the scaling to some degree is in their favor as well. You've got the Cassio, Kozky's Comfort, Yuki on the ADC, on the Ashe will still carry pretty well late game. Pridestalker, Graves has a lot of pressure late, and Jisoo will be an unkillable tank in the front line. So Misfits Academy kind of need to do what Schalke have been trying to do in the last couple of games, and just say, okay, we'll delay, we'll take tower here or there when we can, and stop you getting too much in this early game.
I don't know whether I'd say they definitively outscaled, but what I would say is that Schalke certainly have better options at this point in the game. Kozky, good turn from Selfie again. He was doing those even in the regular split while he was with latency. Now obviously in a low ping environment, even easier to do. Gets to flex a bit of those mechanical skills.
Selfie's been a standout performer for Schalke across this split. Of course, played for Misfits' last Challenger split and helped them get through to the LCS, and then was replaced on the roster by Power of Evil. Now he's really looking, and has been over the last couple of years, to solidify his spot at the top of the European scene. You know, he wants to be one of these well thought of EU mid laners. He wants to be along the lines of Expeke and Froggen and PoE. You know, he wants to be someone everyone looks up to, and for Bivin. He hasn't quite got there yet, but these next 3 games could prove it.
Could. Might even have to face off against one of those as a support in the promotion tournament. If he gets
for that
there.
one game.
If they get there. It's still obviously 2 games down. I'm a lot more confident in Misfits Academy now than when we started this series. Problem is, Selfie on this Talia has looked a lot better than the last 2 games. We saw 1 game of Oriana from him. We saw a game of Victor in game 2. And he just couldn't quite survive, but now he's the one that's ahead. 2 kills already. Good start, has that roaming potential, and now out in the side lane is going to try and solidify a push for the team.
And this is where experience starts to make a difference as well. You know, the Misfits Academy guys will be thinking quite emotionally, probably to some degree, saying, look, we're on the cusp, we're right there, we're almost there into the promotion tournament. And Schalke 04 with a few more experienced heads, 4 players who've been to the LCS, 2 players who've been to Worlds, or perhaps be a little bit more contemplative, just saying, look, we just need to win this 1 game, and then we can win the next, and then we can win the next. Let's take it a game at a time. It's the best of 1 for Schalke from now on out.
Yeah, back-to-back, 3 of them, and you can't afford to make a mistake. And Koskyu, oh, Lulex, it was an early turn from Lulex. Koskyu this time just lets the ult go anyway. Big cooldown away. They got the Ghost too. Now Schalke are going to try and push out mid. You can see they have the Caitlyn there already shoving. No Hurricane yet, but still good push potential with that Piltover Peacemaker.
And it's the first time in this series as well we've seen Schalke ahead at the 15-minute mark, or around the 15 to 20-minute mark. They're 3,000 gold up. Smitty J continues to push in this side lane, and that's the steadfast. That's the power of Poppy into the Camille. It's the reason that Poppy's a relatively safe tank matchup to pick into that Blade Mistress. It's
an okay matchup, yeah, and as Poppy has got that assist and Sunfire Cape already completed, it means that Smitty J is never going to run away with this match. At least not until late on, and even then Poppy gets so much resistance when Steadfast Presence is on that so difficult to do anything. Schalke have slowed down though, as to be expected. And I want to see where the next play is coming from. They do want to try and get mid tower down, but Ash is sitting back there, has the Cassiopeia. They should be able to defend.
Yeah, it should be okay for Misfits Academy around that mid lane, but I want to look at the Risen focus. As we can see, they're toggling, the observers are toggling it for us slightly here. There's great vision for Schalke 04 up in that top side river. And now Misfits Academy are starting to step forward and try and get some control wards down of their own. This is where Schalke win this game, in my opinion. If they can get vision control in this mid game in the next 10 minutes, that's where they start to make picks, and that's where they start to snowball. Yeah,
and it's Vanda on this Malzahar that's going to be the key point of those picks. And then the follow-up will come from Selfie from Lulex. If they need Smitty J, bring him in as well. But I think giving Vanda that all-important go button with the flash ult is exactly what Schalke and 04 need to rectify a lot of the issues that we saw in previous games where people were just kind of getting caught out a little bit, or they weren't making plays. There was no way to get things started.
Sometimes you do just need that Bronzodia composition, you know, everyone presses R. You just need someone to be able to pull that trigger and say, look, we're going. I'm not saying Schalke 04 is a Bronzodia composition.
I know you're not.
But they have a trigger, which is the Malzahar ult, and then everyone can pile in on top of that.
I'm gonna reword.
Probably a good idea.
The World's semi-finalist experience engage is how we should paint that in a nicer light than Bronzodia Go.
You do just need a go trigger sometimes, and that is what Misfits Academy have with the Yuki arrow as well. Vanda has to flash it, means there's no flash Nethergrasp available.
No Bronzodia. I'm going to go with World's semi-finalist.
Okay,
That's how we're going to go for it.
I like, you know, press R win game sort of compositions a lot of the time. Kosku kind of defense side, but shove comes out. Hill will flash away. Petrifying Gaze dodged by Lulex and Selfie. Kosku kind of step back in, will defend the tower for the time being, but Schalke are pounding down on 2 structures. They'll get top lane and they'll look for mid next.
Yeah, they get the top tower, and they couldn't convert the kill in mid lane onto Kosku. Kosku with just enough defensive capability to hang on to that, and Pridestalker will clear out the wave as well. So denying any second tower in that play. 2 towers already have gone down in favor of Schalke, though. None for Misfits Academy, and this is the difference now. Schalke came with a winning lane at least, so at least one. Now they had the Camille as well. It did get camped, and they just made plays around the rest of the map. 2-0 for Selfie was what they needed to deny Misfits that early game that was comfortable for them.
And they're getting early dragons on top of it as well. Ocean Drake so powerful if you get them early on in the game that the generation can just make you unstoppable. It's a consistent siege threat because you just push forward, take a bit of poke, step back for a few seconds, regen all your health, and then step forward once again.
Looking at it, Misfits Academy are going to really struggle to actually push. Camille will hold Poppy or Cassiopeia, either one. And mid lane with these traps, with the push put down from Upset, it's difficult, near impossible to push out that wave. And Talia can wave clear very effectively as well. So Misfits Academy are kind of stuck waiting for Schalke to make a mistake.
As we approach that 20-minute mark, Schalke sitting pretty. 3,500 gold ahead, a couple of, well, equal on kills, but a couple of towers ahead for themselves as well. The first time we've really seen Schalke have a convincing lead early on, and with a composition that seems a lot more well-rounded than previous ones. Smitty J dodges the Petrifying Gaze with the Hextech ultimatum, and he'll take down Kosku.
Now Schalke have decided, like, okay, we'll give him the Cassiopeia, but just everybody dodge the ults, all of them. If you don't dodge an ult, yeah, there's probably some saying in there about not eating.
I'm pretty, Jankos would probably say you're not allowed to eat. You can't dodge an ult, you're not allowed food for the rest of the week. Pridestalker going to chase Lulex down here, but should be able to get away. The arrow comes out, Smitty J just around the corner, and Pridestalker will dodge out the tactical sweep. Lulex still stunned up, Jisoo's going to knock him back. Kick back will keep him alive for the time being. Pridestalker's not done yet, takes him out. Smitty J going to jump back in as Upset puts down the traps and looks for the headshots. One down, Abyssal Voyage in by Dreams, the Weaver's Walls coming in by Selfie as well, and it's only Dreams alone. He will eat up Jisoo, pop the thick skin and try and get the Poppy out. You cannot escape the wall though, and Smitty J and Schalke take down 3.
Schalke have made Misfits Academy pay for it. The over-aggression in the top lane, and Schalke just brings Selfie in. They clean up. Upset has the damage. Lulex fell, but it took so long for them to kill. Schalke have completely turned their fortunes around in this series with this game 3. I mean, Lulex, yes, he gets hit by the arrow, but Smitty J is a deterrent for a while, and Lulex flashes forward, desperately trying to get him out. Good kick to at least hang on. And look where Selfie is. They know all they've got to do is buy time, and Misfits Academy buy into this exchange. Dreams even ulting himself, putting himself the other side of the wall. Doesn't realize he's not going to be able to get back over. Tries desperately to save Jisoo, but it's a 2 versus 4 at that point.
The difference is, in game 2, we saw Schalke take an engage, Misfits Academy turn it back on them, and then Schalke over-aggress. Here, we saw Misfits Academy take an engage, go too far in, probably should have settled with the 1 kill onto Lulex, and then lose out because of it. It's the team that doesn't react quickly enough to the evolving state of the play that is losing these games.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely is. And it's disheartening. Like, as much as you have to commend Misfits for the first 2 games, somehow game 3 has gone awry, and it's not just like side selection. I think the draft out of Schalke has been better than we've seen in the last 2 games. I want to see Misfits Academy with like the Kha'Zix or the Rengar again. I think like Pridestalker is still playing well on this Graves, but I think it was just a little hands-off early on. He got into mid lane and burned the flash, but after that, there weren't really any other plays for Pridestalker to make, and with lanes that were difficult to move into, Misfits Academy haven't got a tower yet, and I think it's going to be quite a while until they actually get one in this game.
This is much more like the Schalke we saw across the Challenger split. 6,000 gold ahead, moving their vision line up, denying vision from the enemy, getting 2 wards for 1. just pure bonus for them at the moment. And Schalke just shutting Misfits out of this game. They're doing what Misfits did in game 1 back to them.
I think the problem, though, is it's like, I don't know whether this is the right analogy, but when you find out how a magic trick works and then you see the magic trick again, it looks really underwhelming, right?
Yeah.
After watching Schalke in the first 2 games, I'm like, okay, well, now we're seeing what they play like, but I've also seen the rough side as Ace in the Hole flies all the way through. However, I am happy it's going to be a more competitive series right now because Misfits Academy looked like they were going to close this out in 3 games.
Schalke have now denied all vision around this Baron, so they can take that pretty easily if they want to start it up. Jisoo's in the bot lane, does have teleport, and of course Dreams has the Abyssal Voyage for that threat. But I totally agree with you. I think you need to look at it from Schalke's perspective to a certain degree as well and say they went 2-0 down, and they have the mental strength to be able to come back out and put out this performance. The question is now whether Misfits, if they lose this game, are able to come back next game and say, look, we haven't lost the series. We're still well in this.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's a situation where, like, we've seen challenger teams have this kind of setting before. Like, Millennium were looking so good, but mid lane, here comes the play.
Here comes the Weaver's Wall. Selfie trying to shut out Cosq. Jisoo's there as well, and with the tank there, it looks like Schalke will delay for a second. Jisoo taken up, Cosq flashes in, taken out, Vander there as well, here's the arrow, Lulex goes low, eaten up, and now Jisoo needs to get away, Smitty J, Hextech ultimatum onto Jisoo, popping in, but not quite popping off, and now Misfits will be able to force Schalke back.
Yeah, Schalke will continue this push, reassert vision control around the jungle, and then, you know, move back towards that Baron, so Schalke still coming out ahead from that. They got Cosq, now Ace in the Hole comes out. Lulex still thinking about it.
Pridestalker caught out in the jungle. Selfie's going to take him down. TP in as well. Jisoo actually did try and counter TP in, but he's going to walk straight into 4 members of Schalke 04. Tried to get the big outplay onto Selfie. Knocks that down. Vander. Selfie goes low. Jisoo with the 3-man knock-up. Dreams trying to gobble him up and run him away. Will be able to escape for the moment, but not from Smitty J, who jumps across the wall and takes down the kill. Jisoo, steadfast presence will save him for the time being, and Schalke once again back away from the fight, but they take down so many of Misfits.
Schalke initially looked to be setting up for a Baron after that first kill. The way that they were moving on the map, they may still look to just re-establish that control, but Cosq is back. That's a dangerous component of this Misfits Academy lineup. They're trying to lock down in the mid lane. Yuki fires the arrow.
That was close. Does hit Selfie. Caught up.
Behind the tower.
Total mispositioning there by Selfie to get caught out by that arrow. But
they
Schalke
actually have.
Yeah, they started up this Baron. No vision for Misfits at all.
They have Hawkshot if Misfits can
It's done. It's done by the time you use Hawkshot now. It's just gone down. And this is great take by Schalke 04, taking out the Baron, getting themselves their first Baron of the series here against Misfits Academy.
And it's gone completely the opposite way. Pridestalker was here, way pushed over. Selfie actually got the blue buff before this exchange. And you see Pridestalker dies, the TP finally completes from Jisoo, and he joins the fight again, but doesn't get that much done when it comes to Selfie. Like, he was trying to get in there for that kill. Takes some of the health off of Schalke, and plays good distraction so they can't instantly go for the Baron, but Smitty J over the wall shows us why this Camille has been banned away from him in previous weeks. Nice little block with a steadfast presence, but Schalke initially, you know, they already were looking good. They then turn for the Baron, get the Baron buff, and now they want to try and push in. Cosq, they have to use the Abyssal Voyage in order to save Cosq, as Talia, Selfie was trying to go aggressive onto it.
I think Cosq actually wanted that fight, but Smitty J's pushing in a side lane here, and this is exactly what you want to do with Camille.
I think I wonder whether Renekton would have been a more successful pick here. I think the Poppy is still fine, but considering the assistance that Smitty J has had now, I don't feel like Poppy's ever getting to a point where they're going to control this. Look at this push out from Smitty J.
I think part of it is the assistance, though. He's going to get 2 towers on the push, 3 towers for Schalke thus far off this Baron, and they're going to continue on the aggressive. The rest of Schalke are joining the fight. Smitty J pushed into the wall, but Jisoo is the one that's low. Cosq now trying to turn back around, stuns up Lulex. Redemption comes out, but Jisoo's dead. Hextech ultimatum onto Yuki. He's gobbled up by Dreams, who tries to get him away. Nether Grasp on Cosq, kicked in. He's going to go down. Schalke 04 take 2 kills, take an inhibitor, and perhaps take this game by the scruff of the neck.
Schalke are going to push this down with the Baron buff. They have enough push power. Only 2 members of Misfits Academy dead, but Smitty J
Dreams forced back once again. Upset has been exhausted. Schalke looking for the win here. Just one Nexus tower between them and their first win of this best of 5. They look to push in towards it. The Nexus is falling and Schalke take their first game against Misfits Academy.
Where have they been in this series up until game 3? That was what we were expecting coming into it. It's taken 3 games, but finally Schalke have woken up to the challenge that was Misfits Academy, and we're at 2-1 in this series.
We've got a series on our hands now, Stress.
I knew you'd say it.
Did you actually? That's great. But I want to just come back to objective control, because it's something we said that Schalke was so good at doing before we started these series, and then we saw Misfits take all 4 of the first Barons, take the majority of the first Dragons. Now, Schalke had not lost a Baron in Challenger Series before today, and now they've lost 4 of 5. That game was a lot stronger from them. They didn't give up a Dragon. I don't think they gave up a turret, may have given up 1, but they didn't give up a Baron either. And that is how Schalke play well. They have early game lanes in certain portions, they have scaling somewhere else, and they take objectives.
Yeah, exactly. They come off on this Camille setup, and Smitty J kind of got camped early with the 3 members going top, but from there bot got ahead for Schalke. Selfie started roaming. Lulex was making plays, had the 2-level advantage at one point. Like that was the Schalke that were meant to be here like 2 hours ago. Unfortunately, for Schalke specifically, they didn't show up 2 hours ago. They come up in game 3, and I think this now puts a very interesting series, because now at least we have proof that Schalke aren't just toppling over in this series, right? Now game 4, I think, should be the most competitive of the entire series so far.
I totally agree, and part of it is because Misfits Academy will now know what Schalke do when they do it really well, but also there's a mental aspect to it, because Schalke will have said, we have to win this game to stay in the series. There'll be a lot of adrenaline running there, and they'll play really well in that 3rd game. If you can maintain that for a 4th game, that's where you separate the good teams from the great teams. That's where you actually manage to take that next step, because you no longer have the natural adrenaline coursing through your veins. It's pure mental fortitude.
I think, though, if we see Pride Stalker on a Rengar, on a Kha'Zix, that's what worked very well for them in games 1 and 2. I think that's the kind of start that Misfits Academy can build from. For Schalke, though, I think this Lee Sin's working well. Camille, I don't know whether they're going to get again. And we might see even that Talia banned away. It was banned in game 1. Yeah. Actually, it was Schalke that banned it in game 1.
Camille tends to be a second rotation ban. And of course, Misfits have red side now as well. So we're going to see a little bit more jiggery pokery, or a little bit more messing around in that draft phase.
I believe Misfits still have another couple of minutes to choose, because we're on dynamic side selection. They have, from the moment the Nexus falls, it's, I believe, 4 minutes.
I was making an assumption that they would pick red side, which is a bad thing to do. I apologize.
You know what happens when you assume?
We have an intense matchup on our hands. When we come back, we'll have game 4 between Schalke Null Fear and Misfits Academy. Make sure you stick around.